Wonderful. Well, we are ready to go. This is Tuesday afternoon, the 14th of September of 2021. I'm Don Snow. I'm down in St. George, Utah, and our technical guru is Gerhard Roof, and he's up in Orem, Utah, in the northern part of the state. And we've got people with us online, and hopefully more watching on Facebook. And this is our one of our regular classes on Tuesday afternoons. We do I usually do 2 classes per month. This time they're the second and fourth Tuesdays of this month and also of October. Today's subject is on digital photos and file naming. And I want to give you some ideas and some helps. And hopefully you'll get a few ideas that you can use. And if you already got a system that works for you, use that and just add into it whatever works for you. Now, I want to show you some 2 or 3 things first here. Before we get into some demos. Here's the stuff we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about digital cameras and smartphones. And I've got a digital camera that I use, a Panasonic that I've had now for more than 10 or more years, and a smartphone. But the digital camera seems to work better than the smartphones. It's for some reason, I don't know why, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. We're going to be talking a little bit about what's called metadata. That's in the picture. As you take a picture, the information is in that picture that tells you the exact date and time it was taken, the kind of a camera that was used, the aperture settings, and all there's so much stuff in there, I don't even know what half of it means, but it's there and it goes with the file. That's called metadata. Meta means about. We're going to show a program that's free called Name EXIF. And that's one that I use on a regular basis with my pictures that I take from my digital camera, because that extracts the date and time from the metadata and puts it right in front of the title so that I can sort all my pictures. I can find them by just searching for the date that the picture was taken, the exact date and time, and it's there. We'll talk about adding keywords and tags on there so that you can find things that you want. And I'll show you some examples by using this program called Everything. Now, if you've been with us on our classes before, you've heard me talk about Everything because I use that on a regular basis. I use it, I don't know, 10 times every day. It's free. And it is so helpful that, well, you'll see an example. If we have time, we'll talk a little bit about this program called Bulk Rename Utility. The details are on the notes, which I'll show you in just a second. So if we don't have time to get to that, why, you can at least find where to get a copy of that and what it is. And we'll look at some examples. Now, the class notes for all of this, so you don't have to worry about taking detailed notes, are on that web page, UVTAG, Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group.org, and then classes and my stuff. Now, I want to show you what that looks like. If you click on that, and Gerhard has also placed a PDF of these notes for this class in the chat on Zoom as well as on the comments on Facebook. So if you're watching this later on Facebook later, or we also post these on our YouTube channel, you can always go to this website, but there'll be a link on there as well for that. Let me show you by shifting gears here and show you what they look like. If you click on that link, this is what it takes you to. This is my web page, Don Snow's class notes page. And on here are all the notes from the past classes, lists of classes, etc. On this particular class, I did an article in this Freeware, my Freeware Corner articles page here just last month. That's on here, and I thought about using that for the notes for this, but the more I looked at it, the more I thought, no, I need to put them in my standard format. They're so much easier to use, at least for me. So here's further on down here, here's a list of the classes coming up. Here's a list of the classes starting with 1, 2, and 3. 1 is the class today, digital notes, file naming, etc. This is the one for 2 weeks from today. It'll be on digital photos on organizing them. And I got to get those notes done, so they're not on there. yet. And then we're going to talk about Heritage Quest, a couple of different classes later on. These are past classes, so all those notes are on here. The links are on the web pages. The videos are on these other links up here. So if you want to look at any of those other ones, the past ones there's many of those. Now I'm going to click right here on digital photos, and I've already done that, and this is what comes up. So here's the notes for today's class: digital photos, file naming. Notice I just updated it the 13th, 2021-09, September 13th. That's just yesterday. So it was late last night by the time I got this posted on here. Here's the abstract of it as to the stuff we're going to be talking about. Here's the information about it. There's my link, my email address, if any of you want to email me for anything. And a couple of tips on here, as I always put on them, what's going on with it. And then the problem for today, item 4, the problem for today is how to name digital files so they sort chronologically and so you can find what you want. So that's the what we're after today. We're going to talk about digital photos and where they come from and so on. They're from digital cameras or smartphones or scanning, etc. We're going to be talking about cameras and smartphones, and in particular the metadata that's in there. Item 10, the date and time and other data such as the camera settings and so on, all that's built into the picture. You don't see that unless you click in the right place. I'll show you how to click so you can see where that is, but it goes with the picture. And so anything you take with a digital camera or a smartphone has all this stuff built into it. Though for some reason, my smartphone, it's an iPhone 8 Plus. For some reason, when I transfer the stuff over, it doesn't all the metadata isn't there. I don't know why. I'm going to show you how you can rename the photo files with this name EXIF. That's the name of the program. It's free, and it will extract from the metadata without you having to do it personally. I'll demonstrate this. It will take that metadata, the date and time out, and put it right in the front of the file, and then the file title, and then they'll all sort chronologically from that. We'll show you some examples of that. And here's a picture of the settings that's on there so that you can see how I set it to use it for there. Then I add keywords and tags in the file names to describe what's in the picture, and you'll see some examples of that later on. If we have time, we'll talk about this bulk rename utility. That's one that will allow you to change all of the titles in a collection of files to correct a misspelled name that's misspelled all the way through, or to add something to it, and so on. And then some conclusions. And again, on the conclusions, if you got a system that works for you, stick with it. And maybe you just add parts that you see here. That may be a help. But if you don't have anything to start with, maybe start with this one and try it out and modify it as you go. And it's a big project and it takes time, but it's worthwhile in the long run. Okay, now that gives you an idea about the notes. And those notes are posted on the internet. They're back on that same web page that the link was in there. Well, let's go back and I'll show you what is on. This is that web page where those notes are. And Gerhard has a picture of that, or at least a link to that, and even a PDF, I believe, of these notes posted for you in there. Now, what I want to spend most of the time on today, and remember, we're trying to keep these fairly short, so they're only half an hour or not much longer than that. Examples and demos. So that's what we're going to be looking at next. So now I'm going to shift gears and go to this page, which gets me to the to my so I can get to my desktop from here. I'm going to get to the desktop, and I want to show you, well, first of all, let's go down and show you where we are in the notes so that you'll see what we're doing here. We're talking, first of all, about these digital photos, and once digitized, then you can work with them and so on. In digital cameras and smartphones, let's talk about this metadata that's in there. That's item 10 and 11 and right around in here on this. Let me show you some pictures, some photos. I'm going to do, let's see, a Windows D will let me see if Windows D will work. Well, yeah, Windows D. And now I'm going to run this program everything. We'll talk more about the program everything later. And most of you know about the program because I talk about it all the time because I use it so much. I want to type in here in the search box up to the top in the upper left-hand corner, right up in here. I'm going to type in .jpg. Now, what you're seeing on here is a list of every JPEG picture on this entire hard drive. There's 3 different hard drives in this computer, and they're all sorted here. They're all. I'm gonna hit page down. I'm just going page down. You'll see all of these different pictures. You see some of the pictures as they're flashing over there on the other side. Some are scanned, some have been, they're pictures that I've scanned or articles, but they're JPEGs that are on here. That program finds every JPEG anywhere that's that was a cruise we were on. It finds a JPEG any place on the whole hard drive that we looked for. So that's every JPEG. If you want to find all the TIFFs, search for .tif. If you want to find all the PNGs, search for .png. Okay, now I have actually put in, besides that, I've put in the word photo in some of mine. So I'm going to add the word photo to search for. Now, all of these are JPEGs that have the word photo in front of them. And you'll see different titles here, different dates, etc. Let me show you, rather than going through that, let me minimize that and actually get to the program, the regular Explorer program, File Explorer, and show you, let's see, quick access. I just like the way they've got this now. It's, let's see, desktop. Let me click on that. I want to get to the whole, not quick access, not frequent folders, just downloads, documents, pictures. Oh, come on, where are you? I can't, these are the recent files. Well, maybe I'm going to have to, I'm going to go back. It's easier to find it with everything. I'm going to type in here, photos. Let's see, it's photos by date, PHO2 photos by date. There it is. Okay, now what this is this is a directory where I've saved all my photos on one of the hard drives. There's 3 hard drives in this computer, and this is on drive D. These are saved in photos saved by the different years. Some of them are scanned, some of them are actually from the digital camera, etc. Let me go down to 2021. So this is the current year, and I'm going to click on that. And now these are pictures that were downloaded from my camera. It's a Panasonic Lumix camera. I got it at Costco, probably 10 years ago. These are pictures that are in there, that are there. Now, notice that it puts this name P1090241214, something like that, .jpeg. That's the name that the camera gave to the picture. Now I'm scrolling down here because you'll see after a little while, and I'm going to change these names here in just a second. I'll show you how to do that. But I'm going to scroll down here. Now here's some that I've already changed the name on. I've had that program, that name EXIF program, put the word photo dash, there's the exact date that particular picture was taken, and there's the exact time it was taken. So that was that picture. This, I'll highlight it. That picture, oh, that's my kids playing pickleball down here when they came down here. It was taken on 2021, January 5th, and it was at just after 12 noon. So I've got the 24-hour clock on here, so this is just after 12 noon. I should change that on here. But you can see the dates on all these. Here's one that was taken in May. There's a picture right out on my front porch here on the bench. We started taking pictures on that bench years ago. I'm just clicking on some of these pictures. You can see what the word photo is on there, as well as the exact date and time that those were taken. Now, I didn't have to put all that on there. The camera put this P107 or 109 thing on there, and the program name EXIF put all this other stuff in there. That's what I want to do. I want to show you how to do that, and it'll only take just a minute or two to run through all of these copies. These are pictures I took this summer when I was up in Provo, and I haven't done that yet on here, so I could use this for as an illustration. This one was taken in June 19th. I had two grandkids that got married this summer, one in the American Fork Temple and one in the Bountiful Temple, plus a family reunion and a bunch of other stuff. And so those pictures are on here, and there's some of these. Now, what I want to do is I want to go into, let's see if I can get back to the program. This is my desktop. Here's the program. I'll move that icon right there so that you can see it. It's called Name EXIF. That's the name of the program. I'm going to click on it to run it. It's free. And there's a link in your notes as to how to download it. Here's what comes up, Name EXIF. I think this is an older version, but it still works fine. And so I haven't bothered to do the upgrade. It gives you a little bit of instructions in there. And then it says, okay, what are you going to do next? Okay, so click next. Now it says, okay, here's a block. It says, what do you want to add? You want to add a whole directory? And the answer is no, because I've got some pictures that have already run this program on. I'll just add files, add particular pictures. So I click on that, and then it goes to, well, I've already got it because I ran this earlier. It goes right to that file folder where I've got these stored by date. And so here's the pictures. I'm going to highlight the top one, scroll down until I get down to where they end with before I start before they're already done. Hold down the shift key so that it will highlight everything in between. Okay, now everything in between is highlighted. So all of those, and there's probably 100 pictures that I took this summer up there. I'm going to click open. There they are. Now I can look through here and I can see if these are all the right ones, and nothing that is any extra or anything extra that isn't what I want on there. And it looks like they're all set and ready to go. And so now I'm scrolling down by dragging that bar over on the right side so that I can see that I've got all the pictures in there and none that I don't want in there. So these pictures have that, just the name the camera put on it, the P109 something or another on there. Okay, now I got the picture selected that I want to run on. I'm going to click next, and it says, okay, what do you want to do? This is a renamer program, and so there's several different things you can do. You can rename them. If you put the dot up here, that top one, it'll rename them that way. I use the custom and the naming, and I put the word photo hyphen, and then in parentheses, I put all this stuff that's down here. The year, 4 digits for the year, 2 for the month, 2 for the date, then 2 for the hours, and then a little H, 2 for the minutes, then an M, and 2 for the seconds, then an S, and then a dash, and then the former name. Now that's what's in that picture that you saw on the notes. That's a picture, a screenshot of this, so that you can see how I have that set. Okay, now, and you can set it any way you want. This is a time shift. If the shift is wrong, if I were traveling to visit my son and his family in St. Louis, and I left the camera set for Utah time, I could offset this by 1 hour, and then it would take the time and it would add an hour or subtract whatever I needed on there. I try and get the camera always set so that it's set correctly for the location that I'm in, and then I don't have to worry about that. But that is something that if you're using a digital camera, you probably ought to worry about, just make sure the setting for the date and time is correct for where you're located. On a smartphone, it takes care of that automatically. but on a camera, you need to do it yourself or set it so that it will do it. Okay, now I've got it set right. Click next. There's next. Now it's starting through and you can see the bar going across there. What it's doing is it's going into the metadata of every one of those pictures, and there must be at least 100 on there, stuff I took this summer, and it's extracting the metadata, the date and time that the picture was taken, and it's putting photo hyphen and the date and time out in front of the name. But it's keeping the old name on there. And I keep the old name on there so that I can always go back and find another copy, because I save the original copies as well. It's done. It's finished that whole thing. So I click finish and it's done. Now let's go take a look at those. Let's go back here and well, let's go back to that the everything. And there's that same folder that we were looking at. Now I'm going to click on that folder and go down to 2021. This was 2021. There's all the pictures with renames. Now, I had some pictures that I had renamed earlier. Remember that those, they started in June or something when I went up to Provo. So those really are, they're sorted in order. Here's the, well, that's not the June yet. There's June. Yeah, here's June. So these are, there's June. And let me just click through some of these pictures. I'm just going to arrow down. These are over what you see over on the right are the pictures of the different times that I took the picture. That's in my condo up in Provo. There's that's my granddaughter and I, and that's one's on a mission. She went down to Paraguay. She's on a mission down in Paraguay. That's my wife's gravestone and so on. We went up to visit there. All these were taken this summer, and so they're now completely in chronological order. Some of those are pretty bad. I need to probably just delete some of those because they don't look very good. But I didn't bother to correct any of these. I just stuck them all in there. This is at the temple. That's probably American Fort Temple. Some of those are off at angles. I just need to go through and eliminate those. But now you see the benefit that if you know the date the picture was taken on, even without the names of who's in it, it's got the exact time, the exact date and time that the picture was taken. And so it's all on there for the details of it. So for me, that's been just an extremely handy sort of thing. And that's the easy part to do. The hard part is trying to put all those keywords and the tags in later. But anyway, you get the idea. Even if you don't do any more than that, it's just a major help for me. Because if people say, well, where's that picture that we took at the family reunion? If you remember the dates of the family reunion, it was, let's see, we went out to Moab right around the 4th of July. There's one, the 4th of July. So these pictures right in here ought to be, why isn't that coming up? These pictures in here really should be exactly some of those that were given, that were at our, and I don't know why that's not showing up for some reason. That's not, but they're the ones that were taken at the time at our family reunion. So by knowing the approximate date, even without the names and stuff in there, you can find a lot of the details. Now that's the first part of that's the easy part. The hard part, and now I'm going to turn that off if I can find where there's the click. And there, well, I'll leave that running. I'll just minimize that. And so we'll go back to taking a look at, let's see, back to here. We'll take a look again at the notes. Let's see, I put those on, that's in a separate file. I can get to that by going right. Where's my share? This is a share. Let's see, I should be able to transfer to get to that by going to here. Okay, so here we are. We've talked now about digital note. We've talked about this renaming photos with name EXIF. And if you don't get anything else out of this whole program, that might be a major help for you right there. And there's that picture of the settings so that you can see how I have that set if you want to use that program. It's not the only free program that will do this for you, but it is a free one, and there's a link to download it on your the notes here. Now the next part, and the hard part, is adding keywords or tags in the file names. And so what I do on those is, let me see if I can get back into let's see if I go to Alt. I want to get back to that everything. This was everything. Let me go back now and type in, now that I know I've got photo in there, I can put photo, I can put .jpg, and I know those were taken in 2021, and I'll look for some in June. Have I got, what have I got? .jpeg, if I got that spelled right, I can hardly see that myself. It says I haven't got anything in there. I must have something spelled wrong. Let me go back in and correct that. What I want to do is I wanted to show you. Did I have that spelled wrong?
You had an extra 2 in it, but.
Oh, did I? Okay, there's a JPG and then 2021-06. Okay, here they all are. Now it found those. These are the ones we just renamed. Remember, it had that P thing, that number on the end here. Now that's some of the kids when they came to my condo in Provo. That's in my condo in my front in my the family room in my condo, and that's grandkids sitting there and so on. So now if I want to rename those, I can do that. Let me widen this out a little bit while I'm looking at that name or at that picture. Let's see if I can move this over a little bit. So yeah, so that that's good enough, I guess. Right click on it. This is the program everything, and there's a link in there on that. Go down here to rename. It's further down here. There's rename. And now right after the date and the time and all that stuff, I'll put in here, these are the keywords. I'll put in here Provo condo, and that's let's see, that's Spencer. I'll just put Spencer, and I probably would type each one of the kids' names in there, but for now, for an illustration, I'll just leave it that way, and then click enter. That is now renamed. I did not have to open that picture in something else to see what it looked like, and then go back and close it to rename it. That's a major advantage of using a program like Everything, where you can see the picture, see what's in it, and rename it without having to open it separately. Now, let me show you what this metadata looks like in here. Right click on it, go down here to right down is, you have to go down to properties. Here's properties, clear down at the bottom, click on properties. And now if I click on details, here is the metadata. Now this stayed with that picture from my camera, transferred to my computer, stayed on here while I renamed it. And here's the information. There's the exact date and the time it was taken. And if I scroll down here, it'll give me all the details. That's information about the image, the size of the image, the number of pixels that are on there, the vertical dimensions, all that sort of thing. There's the camera. It was done with the Panasonic camera. There's the model of the camera. There's the F setting of the camera, 3.3. There's the exposure time, 1/60th of a second, and so on. All that stuff is built in and stays with it. That's the metadata. And it's from this metadata that program name EXIF went through and took out the date and time. It left it in here, but it copied it out and put it in the front. So I didn't have to do that by hand. Now, there are ways you can actually sort by using this metadata, and you can edit this stuff if you want to, but I don't want to have to edit it. I just want to be able to use it. So now the next big step, and this is what takes so much time, is to go through and actually put in keywords. And you can put in any keywords you want, anything that's going to help you to find it. But now with the word photo in front, if I want to know the date, I can put the photo and then the date, or I could put the name in here. For example, if I, on this particular computer, I've got, I'll put photo, Gil, and we got a bench in front. Did I get bench? Well, I just put bench. We got in our front porch, we got a bench out here. When we first built this condo, we started in 1992. That's what, nearly 30 years ago. We started taking pictures on that bench. So the kids all know whenever they come, whoever is here, they got to get out there sometime while they're here and sit on that bench and we take a picture. And so you can see the different pictures here that they're not all labeled those, but these are all taken on that bench out in my front porch. There's Kevin and Linda. They're the mission presidents down in Guayaquil, Ecuador now. So they were here a couple of years ago. But anyway, these were all taken on the bench with the pictures. And if you want to know a particular group that was here, you can type in Spencer and bench and see that. The tags or the keywords is what really takes the time to sort them out. But it's worthwhile doing, but it's such a mammoth task that I just don't get around to doing it all as much. But the labeling by putting the photo and the word, the date and time in front is just such a major help to finding the pictures that even that much, and that's easy to do, that saves me all kinds of time. Now we don't have time. It's already 4:03, so we haven't got time to really talk about this bulk rename utility, but there's a link on there, and it's a much more complicated program, but it will allow you to change the names of all the things or add prefixes. Or if for example, when I scan slides, actually I hired my granddaughter to scan all my 12,000 slides. Then I put photo in front of those by just adding a prefix by using this bulk rename utility. Because when you scan something, the metadata isn't the right date on the picture, it's the date it was scanned. And so then I have to estimate what the date is. And I found that it helps to just estimate it. And I've got there's a couple ideas in here about estimating the date. And I put at least the year or as close as I can get to it. And I put .0 or -00 after the year. Then I know it's an estimated date and time. Anyway, that's the story. That's a quick overview of my system. Now, if you got a system that works for you, just pick up whatever works here. And once you get the idea, you can modify it, this or your system, and see what's going on. But be consistent, whatever you do. And if you don't have a system already, you might want to start with this and then go back a little bit at a time to pick up things that happened in your older files from before. Okay, let me go back and finish up here. A summary as to what we've talked about. We talked about digital cameras and smartphones, and I mentioned that my smartphone doesn't always put all this metadata in, and I don't know why. Maybe it just doesn't transfer. I got to figure that out. But because of that, my camera does a better job than my smartphone does. We looked at the metadata and this program name EXIF to extract the date and time and put that in front. Then you add keywords and tags, and then that program everything helps you in all kinds of ways to find things and to sort them and to copy them and to move them and so on. And then the bulk rename utility, there's a link on there for that for you. Okay, have we got any questions or any comments that anybody'd like to ask before we quit?
I don't have any on Facebook, Don.
Okay.
Great program.
Any of you folks that are on Zoom that want to ask a question or a comment, or does it seem like this, will it work for you? Is this all new or is this old hat, or have you got some ideas?
Lynn just commented.
It's new to us, but we're going to try it.
Okay. All right. Well, if you got a system that works for you, stick with it, but be consistent. You can always change it. If you're consistent, you can change it later. But if you're not consistent, then it's a mess to try to change later. Anything else?
You might be interested in knowing that someone on Facebook is from Visalia, California.
From where in California?
Visalia.
Azalea. Oh, gosh, I remember that. Oh, for heaven's sake. Well, we're glad to have people from Azalea, from across the country in different places. Anyway, that's the story on digital photos and file naming. We'll talk a little bit next time about organizing your photos. And this program everything allows you to organize them, because you can, once you find them, you can collect out all of them. You can move them into a separate file or do whatever you want to with them. But the naming is the crucial part of it. Anyway, thanks for taking the time to be with us today, and we hope you got something out of it.